Hello, world, and welcome to A24 on the Rocks. I will be your host this evening, Cole William Whitlaw Gibson. Today, we're going to review the 2017 A Prayer Before Dawn. But first, what is everyone drinking tonight? We'll start with my best friend, Kevin K. Konkonachek.
See, I don't even have to introduce myself anymore. He's got this down. You know, how many episodes in we are? 103? Yeah, good evening, world. It's Kevin K. Konkonachek. I am here. I am drinking whiskey with all of you, but tonight's a little bit special. If we go back to the earlier episodes, the Kiskas pulled out a distillery whiskey that I was like, oh, that sounds delicious. And I found a bottle of it. Yes, that's right. It's Coppercraft Distillery. Here's my big old intro here. Coppercraft Distillery from Holland, Michigan. I'm drinking straight bourbon whiskey tonight, and it's quite delicious. Thank you for introducing this, even if you just gave it to me by name. I'm a big fan. It's quite good. So I'm just drinking it, and it's phenomenal. So speaking of the Kiskas, hi, guys.
Hi, I'm Eric, and I am drinking prison wine. I fished it out of the toilet bowl, and it's from Portugal. It's called Dharma. Kelly, what are you drinking?
Toilet bowl wine.
You know, I live in the same place as Eric, so whatever he drinks, I drink. So I've joined him.
I didn't tell her that
So
where I got
toilet
it from,
bowl
though.
wine
I just poured it for her.
No, now she knows. So she's already had a glass.
Yeah, I just learned, so now I'm done drinking.
Don't ask where it was smuggled from. Or how.
I'm officially sober.
Yeah. Pouring this glass down. Drink.
All right, and tonight I am drinking some Suntory Japanese whiskey, one of my favorites.
Suntory times.
Yeah, it was the only Asian whiskey I had, so it's close enough.
Mm-hmm.
A24 on the Rocks.
So we're reviewing A Prayer Before Dawn, a true story about an English boxer, Billy Moore, who was incarcerated in Thailand and got put into one of the most notorious prisons where he performed Muay Thai tournaments to fight for his freedom. Has anyone here been to prison? Eric?
No comment. Actually, I've never been to prison. I'll just leave it there.
All right. Has anyone seen this movie or heard about this movie? It's also based off a book of the same name.
Why don't I get asked if I've been to prison? Why is Eric the only one who gets that?
Kevin, we definitely know that you've never been to prison. Look at you.
All right, but no, I also have never seen this movie.
I've never seen this movie.
I have
Or
not.
been to prison.
It's a no to all of the above here as well.
Oh, Kelly hasn't been to prison either? I mean, come on, at least one of us.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't. Oh, yeah, I guess.
All right, so this movie opens up with our lead actor Joe Cole, who plays Billy Moore, who is actually a real person. This is based off of, again, Billy Moore, the person, an English boxer, and he wrote a book about his tale, and it opens up with him in Thailand. It shows him kind of practicing some boxing, and then a drug bust occurs. So let's go with Kelly. What was your thoughts on the start of this movie? And you can talk some about the drug buster, what occurred during that scene as well.
Yeah, this movie drops you in as if you've already been watching it for about 20 minutes to half an hour. You're just in it. And I didn't read anything about it. I didn't even see the synopsis when we were clicking to rent it. So I spent a lot of the time going, I wonder where he is. I wonder why he's doing what he's doing. And I was like, this is a story that not really anyone can relate to, and that makes it kind of interesting. It's a really, really unique story, and I like that it drops us off in the middle of nowhere, and it doesn't spoon feed us anything. In fact, most of the time, no one is even speaking a language we can understand, and there's no subtitles. Billy Moore himself hardly speaks as well. So it was so many interesting choices and so methodical. There's a lot of rituals and slow, like intricate dances that are occurring throughout this movie. This opening scene of just the preparing him for his fight was so interesting and slow, and then we're given our first fight, which is so fast-paced and intense. I think it's one of the most intense movies we've watched in A24 world so far, because it's an onslaught and it never stops. And that includes up to the drug bust, when, you know, like I had just said, you don't have a lot going into it. You don't know how long he's been there, if he even lives there, who lives with him, why this is happening. It's a whole lot of questions just to get you to the meat of the story, which is the time in incarceration. So it was a lot to take in, and it was a lot of intensity. And I don't know that I've seen another movie that kind of just drops you off and makes you just take the ride quite the way that this movie does.
Kevin, do you have any thoughts to expound on that? And I'll also pitch you another kind of question. What was your thoughts? Kelly kind of alluded to it or talked about it a bit, about the I guess the lack of subtitles and, you know, them speaking a different language and speaking Thai for the most part.
Let's go ahead and drop into that. So we've done this a couple of times now, where famously I have watched a movie and wondered if there should have been subtitles or not. Menashe comes to mind, the Yiddish film that we watched, where I had no idea it was supposed to have subtitles on, but that was funny. So this film, I went back and forth on my YouTube trying to like click subtitles on and off to see if at different times if the Thai was gonna be translated or not, and then it was just the English, and then it went someone speaking in a foreign language or something, like in subtitles. Like, all right, so I'm not meant to know what they're saying. Cool, got that. It should not take me clicking through on subtitles. Maybe it was just me trying to be analytical and really wanting to know what they were trying to say. I get why the writer-director team did it, right? We were supposed to be put into the shoes of Billy. We're supposed to be put into the shoes of an Englishman in a Thai prison who can't understand anybody. Good job. You accomplished that. You definitely accomplished that. I had no idea what was going on. I was feeling lost along with our character, trying to picture myself in a similar situation where you needed to communicate to live, and you couldn't do it because no one understood what you were doing. But I was struggling because I'm trying to also view it in a lens of I want to understand what's happening. So I'm trying to picture what they're saying. I found myself filling in a lot of the blanks oftentimes, like trying to wonder if the body language was enough or whatever they were trying to say, what was the reasoning. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, as the film progresses, they start introducing subtitles a little bit more under some of the circumstances when they're all talking at like the fighter club. I think the scene where they're discussing like the crimes that they did before.
You had subtitles for that part?
I think so. Maybe I'm making that up. I would have to go re-look at that again. But either way, it was very, very obvious that there was no communication, and it was supposed to be that way. You're supposed to feel it gutturally. As far as the introduction and dropping us into that world, I think they hit on the parts you're supposed to understand the most, which is this guy has a heroin problem, or at least a drug problem. That was like, you needed to know that right away. Like, that was going to be a focal point. And then, of course, when he keisters the drugs right before the cops show up, you're like, all right, this is definitely what you hear about many Asian countries when it comes to their approach on drugs. Like, you definitely don't want to be caught with that stuff. It can be instant death sentences in some circumstances. And it comes to find out he only gets charged with, stolen property and a gun. And if he would have found the drugs, it probably would have been a whole lot worse for him, which is crazy to think about because it ended up being pretty bad for him in the long run anyway. But it was a pure slice of life in the sense, like, it was, it's a true story because it gives it to you right off the bat, and then you're in it. So
yeah, I will say I can't recall another movie that went as graphic as this did with the keystering of the drugs. Usually it's kind of like out of the eyesight. Granted, you don't get like a full shot upskirt kind of thing going on, but definitely a little more graphic than I was used to. But so
yeah,
going into so he got
upskirt. That's so funny. That's gonna haunt me.
Oh yeah, awful. Anyways,
Yeah, so Billy Moore, the actual person that this is based off of, was charged and got sentenced for 3 years of prison while in Thailand. And Thailand is a kingdom, so they have a king and queen, and their justice system is, let's say, not the best. I don't know if anyone here has been to Thailand. I've spent just a little bit of time there.
Did you go to prison there?
It was a very fun country, but I did not go to prison.
Okay.
So I...
No,
but he was arrested in Chiang Mai, which I have been to. It's a very beautiful place. After he gets incarcerated and gets put into prison, Eric, let's go to you. Or Eric, do you have anything in terms of like the language or what your thoughts were about that choice of
language is fine.
Essentially,
yeah, I like when films are trying to be more realistic to the actual situation. Like we've been talking about Shogun a lot, and I actually like how that show is in Japanese when the Japanese people are talking, and it's in English when the Englishman's talking, because I think that's just realistic to how it would be, and it makes the film more realistic. So I like that. In terms of cinematography and how this film was shot, I said to all of you right after, this film is so hot and sweaty, and like there's so much skin, and it's so close up on everything, and very claustrophobic. And I think like Good Time is maybe a good comparison to that, but even that film isn't so like hot and sweaty and like so like close up on everybody's skin, and I don't know, there's so many shots in here just showing like skin and tussling of human bodies and stuff. So it's like a very definitely unique way to shoot a film. They're trying to make it more intimate, but because this film is also so violent, you kind of lose the intimacy of shooting like a film really close up like that. Like I feel like a lot of romance films are kind of shot similarly, like with certain love scenes or something. They try to be very close up on people's skin and everything and show like intimacy in that way. But this is about a very violent man who knows, is a boxer that goes to a Thai prison. So they shot it in that similar way that like directors would shoot romance scenes and love stories, but it's in a Thai prison. So it's kind of an interesting way to shoot it. Yeah, that does not stop when he gets into prison either. The whole world of a Thai prison is a completely unique world that I was just introduced to in this film. I did not know everybody sleeps in the same room on the floor. There's different cells, and there's literally like a cell for like a gang. Like the gang just sticks together in that cell, and there's a cell boss and everything, and there's also a boxing cell. Like there's cells just for different types of people, and that's how they separate them. And they all just sleep on the floor in the same room, which I was saying also after I watched this to all of you that seems worse than an American prison, because at least at the end of the night, most of the time you can just go back to your own cell in an American prison and just be isolated from other people. Sometimes they do have bunk partners for you and stuff, and that would suck too. But I think by far this is worse because you're just like in a room with a bunch of other people. You don't know what could happen. There's no supervision at night. Obviously, we see that in a future scene. So it's definitely like I watched this and I'm like, holy shit, I will never do anything slightly illegal in Thailand if I ever go there, or any country that is so tough on people with drugs and stuff. But yeah, well, it seems pretty awful.
Yeah. In the original accountings of Billy Moore, his first night in prison, he was actually in a cell with a dead body, and it was just him and a dead body the whole night. So I guess Kevin, or let's go to Kelly. Would you rather spend the night with a dead body or just be in the communal housing with everyone else?
Would you rather?
Big question.
With a dead body. Is that the wrong answer?
I would take the dead body.
Is there a wrong answer? Okay, good. Thank God. I don't want to be weird for that.
Body
but
can't hurt
compared to what you see with a million sweaty bodies that are alive, and once again, I must emphasize, really sweaty and making all kinds of noise,
very,
and who knows
sweaty.
the amount of stink. I feel like it would stink even more than a decomposing corpse. So, and that one won't make any noise after a small amount of time, but it probably already released all those noises before you're even sharing the room with it. So I'll go dead body final answer.
All right, I agree. So go as we progress further along in this story, he gets kind of introduced into his the prison lifestyle, and it, like Eric alluded to, it's kind of just a free for all of them trying to get water and clean themselves and sleeping arrangements and everything. It's just kind of just a free for all. Essentially, they have like open areas that they go to. And we get introduced to the gang that our character sort of gets caught up in. Kevin, why don't you kind of, I guess, tell me what your thoughts were about the introduction of the gang and kind of maybe one of the more graphic scenes that we get introduced to throughout this film.
Sure. I feel like oftentimes, right, in pretty much any depiction of prison life in any film or even real life in general, right, we have this boss figure of some sort, someone who's going to be kind of in charge of the prison life in an informal circumstance. They're going to run the show. They're going to make sure that whatever needs they need are met, and it's just that's the way it is. Power, whoever controls the power controls the reality of the space, and so we get that in this scene quite vividly, right? We know quite early on in his time in this communal space that the guy with the clown tattoos on his eyelids is the boss in charge, right? It's someone who's not going to around get messed with. And then, of course, we get the incredibly graphic rape scene where he's basically held at knife point and forced to watch as one of his fellow inmates is raped in front of him. And it was very clear it was supposed to be a message like, hey, this is what can happen and what will happen if you say anything or do anything, and we have the power, so we're going to make sure you watch it. I think that there was a lot of imagery in this film that you didn't need language for, and I think that was, obviously, we just got done with the discussion right before this, where you don't need the language, and so you're going to do things where it's truly based on the body language and the actions of the people. And in this particular circumstance, it's violence and it's sodomy. It's all of the things that we hear about, and this film does not shy away from it in any aspect. So he's terrifying. It was definitely meant to strike some fear and some anxiety in our main character, and definitely the person watching it as well.
Eric, do you think that scene needed to happen in this film? Do you think it was a pivotal part of the story that needed to be told?
Yeah, if it was in the book and it was a thing that actually he witnessed, that's true to the experience he had in the prison, and I think it needed to be shown because that's just the reality of what happened, and one of the things he'll have to live with for the rest of his life. This film is just kind of I think it's about his addiction, but also about the horrors he experienced in this prison and what he will be stuck with for the rest of his life. Though that's definitely one of the most horrific things that you can see and witness when it comes to anything, I guess. So, yeah, it needed to happen because also it was just true to his story.
No, I
needed to be shown. It didn't need to happen. It needed to be shown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, I got you. No, I agree. It definitely, again, it's based off a true story, and so it happened, and it's telling his recounting of probably one of the worst places you can go to prison in the world at this point. So some pretty gnarly stuff that we get introduced to, but as the story progresses and he gets further up into the food chain of this gang, he starts to develop a relationship with a female character named Fame that is, I guess, some type of clerk, or she sells the commissary type items.
Yeah, not really clear to me what that kind of role is.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that your interpretation of her role? And, this movie has a kind of a unique thing where there really aren't a whole lot of, I would call, characters because of the language barrier and things. I guess in my mind, there's really only 3 characters that kind of stick out in the mind. Mm-hmm. There's Joe, or I'm not Joe Cole, who plays Billy Moore, and then you have Fame, and then you have the big boss guy from the gang. Those are kind of, I guess,
the boxing teacher,
boxing coach.
In the coach, yeah. Yep, in the coach. I guess, what were your thoughts on her and Obviously, we talk a lot about, is this character worth having in this story and things like that. With it being a true story and things, obviously there's characters in our lives that might not be the most pivotal, but if we look at it from maybe a story aspect, what do you think her, I guess, role played, or was it worth playing, and how did she play it?
Yeah, I mean, her role in the end is the only reason that he was able to get to where he got to within the prison system, out of the kindness of her own heart, giving him these cigarettes when he has no money. It seems like the role is like running commissary of somehow, but also she's in prison because she said she killed her dad. So not really sure how that works and what those kind of roles are. And I don't think the reason we know is because Billy probably doesn't even know. Like, it's not up to him to know how all the inner workings of Thai, and not me either. So I'm just trying to follow along, and I think that that's how Billy's taking it too. So maybe not so much with this. I don't know. It's unclear to me if she's imprisoned or not, because when they do come into the prison, like the three ladies, it's like they're celebrities when they come in and sing karaoke, or they come in and it seems, I assume that they all work commissary of some kind. I'm not sure. But in the end, she's extremely important to the story, because we do have like a bit of love in there, which I think is neither here nor there. That feels like just like some frosting thrown our way for the sake of a movie. But
Some tenderness
I have to think that she probably played a really... Very, yeah. She played probably a very real role, because without him getting the initial carton of cigarettes and then the second one for the boxing coach, nothing else ends up happening the way that it does. And it also seems that she plays a bit of a role, both her and the kid that Billy is boxing with at the beginning of the film. It's like the two of them that kind of motivate him to get clean in a way. So these are reasons that I think that she's an important character. So yeah, I think that the love, take it or leave it. Like, sometimes a movie's a movie. You just have to accept it for what it is. But I'm glad she was included in there. Yeah, I think that without her, nothing else gets set in motion.
Yep. No, I think she definitely gives him that like olive branch in the kind of the prison system, of giving him that initial break in. So he, like you alluded to, she gives him the carton of cigarettes, and he's able to get into the boxing program that the prison has, which is run by a trainer who I don't think we ever get his official name or anything like that, but he's actually played by an actual gold medalist boxer from Thailand, who I cannot pronounce his name, but it was in 1996 he won the gold medal for Thailand, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty cool to have like an actual professional do the training, because it definitely seemed like he knew what he was doing. Joe Cole apparently, said that he did a ton of training and actual boxing practice with Billy Moore and his family in the UK in preparation of this film, and that he all of the fights were allegedly real, in that he actually got hurt quite a bit, and they spent more time putting makeup on his bruises than not, which is... Watching the fights, I guess I want to go to Kevin on the fights. What were your thoughts about the fighting?
Absolutely, it looked real to me. They absolutely looked like they were not pulling any punches, and that's what some of the clunkiness in my brain was attributing to. Oftentimes in these boxing films or these movies where we get fights, the fights are choreographed, right? They go over it many times, and it's supposed to be made a certain way, and the cuts and the action. And I'm a big wrestling fan, right? So I'm a big used to choreographed fighting as a big style. This was not. This was, I feel like, exactly. It was just them fighting, and then a camera being in the space, and that was part of the artistry of it. And it was very apparent, I guess, that like you said, it was real fighting, and that they were trying to, whatever, boxing is boxing. It's not MMA, it's not bare knuckle, but it certainly was apparent they were trying to fight, which was cool.
Do you think I'll go to Eric on this one. With the way that the boxing was filmed, with the kind of a single camera that was running around the ring with them, and it being, actual fighting versus a choreograph, do you think that helped the film and gave it more validity in that they weren't pulling punches, or do you think it hurt it because it's hard to, I would say, provide a bunch of cinematography to a real fight versus a choreographed fight?
I think I was just used to like how this film was shot already by the time the fighting happened, I guess, or at least the fighting in the prison. So I just felt like that was just the style of the film, and so I think it works because it's consistent with the rest of the film too. Like, it would be weird if they showed, or the film was filmed so like close up on everybody, and then for some reason during the fighting scenes they went, into like artistic slow motion cinematography. That would be strange. So I think it worked because it's consistent with the rest of the film, and the fact that a lot of it was real too. I could feel that in the fighting scenes. Like I was saying earlier, this film feels very gritty and violent and intense, and the actual fighting being done in the fighting scenes definitely adds to that for sure.
Kelly, do you have any input on the cinematography of the fighting or any other parts of the film in general?
Yes, fighting scenes were my favorite scenes of the whole movie because they really felt like everything was on the line, because I felt like I was fighting. And they accomplished that not only with that close camera and like the fact that it feels like we're like a fly on his head, like kind of like zooming around and also involved in it. And I felt like I was like utilizing energy while they were fighting because it's so in your face and intense. And that makes it better for me to be in the ring fighting with them than if we have any views of it from outside the ring, because now it's watching a fight on TV. And this is not that. So they made the appropriate choice by making us be in there with it, with just long shots too. So you feel exhausted like a boxer. I think that they kind of accomplish a lot with that. I said to Eric after they do the first prison fight, I was like, I think that was just a legitimate fight. I have no idea how you could choreograph anything like that. I think that was real, because I don't know how you can... If it wasn't, like, that would be incredibly impressive, but even down to the sound of the hits actually landing was extremely, like, realistic and impactful. I think that the sound design of a lot of this movie is really impactful. There's a lot of moments where we just have Billy breathing, and it's not just him in the fight itself when he's kind of having an ear-ringing moment, but it's also when he's outside of it and having a personal moment to himself. There's a lot of moments where that can really shine, but those sounds of those hits, I think if you're going to show boxing in a movie, period, when those hits land, it's got to feel just as satisfying for the audience as it does for the boxer. I thought it was phenomenal. The boxing scenes were just like, they made like everything else worth it, because it was a lot of that you had to endure through watching this movie, and that feels weird to say because I'm not living it. This is a real person's story. They endured it for real. But the fact that they made me feel the way I did by just watching the movie, making me feel like I had to endure something, is a testament to how they crafted and put this story together. They could have turned it into, there's a lot of different ways they could have taken it, but they made it grimy. They made it exhausting. They made it just like an onslaught of constant dread and fear and anxiety, so that when it comes to the boxing, it really is your release. And I think that that's, what it is for Billy. So they put us in his shoes. I also wanted to say too, not that I've ever been in an actual fight, but I just love boxing. I did fitness kickboxing for a while, and then I did MMA for a little while, and I dipped my toe into Muay Thai. So the fact that this movie was about that, it made me so excited, and like got the sport all excited for me again too. Like, catch me shadow boxing next week.
Yeah. I when I read about how they actually did a lot of the fightings, they weren't holding back punches and things like that, I definitely could feel it. I will say that sometimes in those boxing fights with the camera panning around and things, I got a little discombobulated. Sometimes it felt a little shaky, but also understand that I do like it, the intimacy, and it wasn't, didn't feel like you're watching a pay-per-view fight because you are in a prison. It's a bunch of amateurs or a bunch of, I guess, prisoners fighting. So it kind of has that in-your-face, grimy, gritty feel to it for sure. Billy Moore kind of breaks out of the I guess, gets out of the gang life and kind of gets introduced to this brotherhood, even though, again, he doesn't have that I guess doesn't understand their language. Eric, how do you think they brought that, I guess, boxing brotherhood through the screen? Do you think they made it feel truly like that brotherhood that they, do you think that kind of came out without having that language barrier, and you were able to kind of show that? Or how did you feel about it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the character of the trainer was so pivotal to like establishing that brotherhood, because he felt like a true mentor and like somebody who was keeping everybody on an even keel. Also, yeah, like when Billy kind of flipped out after he smoked some heroin, and then like just hit that other guy, like cold clocked him. That other guy, he was pissed at first, but then he accepted him, or he like forgave him. I think because like Muay Thai and boxing is such in general, the nature of it is so physical, their communication to each other could be done just like physically. Like that trainer was showing him how to, do Muay Thai, how to knee, how to kick, just by showing it to him, like demonstrating it. And that's as good of communication as anything else. So I think just like the nature of boxing and Muay Thai leads to like physical communication. And that was a cool thing that this film showed too. And yeah, again, like the character of that trainer I really liked, and I think was really key to that whole brotherhood.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene in this whole movie was the trainer when he's showing Billy how to do kicks in these. It's like starts with him doing like a dozen kicks like back to back to back, just like banging them out, and then he stops and just rips a cig. Just
he's constantly smoking.
He's just the cig ripping the whole time for sure. Because that's how he gets in, right? He drives like the curtain to get
monetary value in there, obviously. So, I think in most prisons it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I just loved how he like not out of breath, no nothing. Yeah. He's done this 100 times. He's just
that's the other thing. This guy Billy smokes heroin and is a heroin addict, and somehow is able to box like he is, which is insane to me. Like if you're mainly in, how you take in the heroin is smoking heroin, your lungs have to be shit. And yeah, I mean. I like it's a true story though, so I'm guessing it actually happened. So that's just amazing to me though. If your main way of doing heroin is smoking it and you're addicted to it and you're constantly doing it, and it seems like he's been doing it for a while, how the hell can he box a whole fucking boxing match or do a whole Muay Thai match? That's crazy.
Well, his body does break down on him
Yaba
in the end.
Too
yeah.
is meth. So there's if you look at Yaba itself, it is described as a mix of meth and caffeine.
They said heroin at some point, though, didn't they?
I think so, but it's also implied that it's heroin. But they definitely say Yaba throughout it, as far as like you can hear it in the language. Would make sense,
like after he smokes it, he gets all angry. Where usually if you do heroin, when you be more blissed out and relaxed.
Yeah.
So okay.
And it says the drug can affect for 8 to 16 hours, but 1 to 3 when it's smoked. So its intensity is different. I'm just on the Wikipedia page.
I believe that it'd probably be meth. Like what he was doing in the prison was meth, and what he was doing out there was probably heroin. So, or when he was not in prison.
Right. Yeah. There was one scene that bothered me, and I think I mentioned it in. What is the Killer of the Flower Moons movie?
Yeah.
Where
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert De Niro has a really bad ADR scene, and there was one in this one that also bothered me.
Where was it? I didn't see it.
Picked it up. It's when he's talking to Fame, and he's talking about how he lied about his dad, but he doesn't say dad. His mouth. According to what apparently he said mum. But they just ADR dad on top of it. And because when that scene happened, I rewound it because I was like wondering if my audio was messed up again. It was not. It was just another one of those bad ADR things that bothered me. So apparently I'm the only one that noticed it. So
there are times too when Fame is speaking English and the subtitles do not say what she is saying.
That also drove me crazy because I was turning the subtitles on and off, trying to figure out when I was supposed to know and when I wasn't supposed to know. And like Kevin, I guess it had subtitles when they were all at the cafe, or not at the cafe, at the cafe.
I might have just
Which
read
movie
that
did
in a
you
film
watch?
review too, like
Yeah,
saying.
but
yeah, I don't even
like,
know. But honestly,
I liked the start of the language where you couldn't understand, but I felt like I was, you're with Billy, but then Billy started to understand them when they were all talking, and they were talking about, they were putting up numbers and 3s and 2s, and I guess talking about what charges they did, but I had no idea what they were talking about, and it was like, I guess there was a scene where there were just 2 minutes of that guy talking, and I had no clue, and I'm turning the subtitles on and off, and there was nothing there. So I don't know if anyone else had. had
I did have a little bit of that, because I've been saying,
I
like,
felt a little lost.
Yeah, we've been like with Billy the whole time. Like we're like living through his experience, and then he starts to understand more, and I'm like, you left me behind, Billy. I'm not there with you yet.
Yeah, I felt
Help
like
me out.
I was hoping they would start like sprinkling in some stuff or subtitles so I could feel a part of it, but I did not. But maybe just another nitpick on my end. As we kind of progress through this, Billy gets into the boxing club and he wins his first fight, and he gets during that fight he gets kind of hit in the ribs and starts bleeding out of his mouth, and he ends up meeting with the doctor, and they talk about how he kind of got an ulcer, and I guess it was related to the boxing and all of his drug use and things like that, but he has to, I guess, keep fighting to survive because the gang's now after him as well, and I guess that was it. It was hard for me to, I guess, follow some of the stuff that was going on. I don't know, again, if there's definitely movies where I'm the dumb person and I'm not 100% sure about what was going on. Eric, were you able to follow the story as cleanly?
Yeah, I think so. I think he actually did cheat when they were all betting on the fish or something. He actually did cheat, or at least they gave him like a couple cigarette packs or something, and he might have taken like a whole like bowl of cigarettes or something, and that's what he gave to Fame. So I think there was like something he did there that got the gang really pissed at him. And then they threatened to give him AIDS, and that when I saw that scene, I was like, new fear unlocked. Somebody showing me a syringe saying,
100%.
Do you want the AIDS? And like somebody holding me down and like a syringe right in front of my face. That is now a huge fear of mine in life. Like somebody telling me they have AIDS and then showing me a syringe, like threatening to inject me with it. That's so scary. Anyway, but after that, I think I followed it. One of the prison guards or like the head of the prison was like, I want you to fight in for our prison league, fight against another prison, like represent us. And then also he would get money in his account if he won the fight, and that way he could pay back the gang for potentially cheating during that gambling scene. And then he wins, he passes out and goes to the hospital, and then almost considers leaving the hospital, but then I think he looks down that open train track and just thinks like, well, if I leave right now, I will be on the run for probably the rest of my life. Like maybe I could somehow get back to Britain, but that I can't board a plane. I'm a wanted fugitive. So I think he just thought, I'm probably better off just going back to prison. And I think that's the sequence of the plot right there. I followed it pretty well, I think.
Yeah, there really wasn't too much to it, honestly. It was drug addict goes to prison and has to fight to get out. Like, as far as like the actual plot itself, I don't think they were asking a lot of the viewer to have to follow. It was very much, but those little intricacies, just like that, right? That scene alone, the AIDS scene, and some of the other things where you don't have English explaining it to you, you truly do have to follow, pretty damn closely. You have to be paying extreme attention to get some of those small, subtle details. So I will appreciate it for that, I will say.
All right. Hey, Kevin.
What?
If we were all in prison, what role do you think Eric would play? And I want everyone to think about what another person would be, because I don't want you to think about what your role would be. I want you to think about what someone else. So I want you to do Eric. What do you think Eric would be in prison?
I think Eric's gonna be the warden. I think he's gonna be
I'm
the guy
working
in charge
in the
who's
prison?
getting.
What of my
Yeah, you're
personality
gonna be the
makes you
guy
think I
who's
would work
making.
in a prison?
You work for
I
the
just think
government
you won't
already.
be in
so-
prison. I don't think that you're good. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Kelly. You answered it for me.
Even
You
though I
already work
don't
for the
like
government.
it, but
I'm
sorry.
a mail carrier, though. I'm not like some
See,
huge
Yeah.
authority figure.
I think Eric's the warden. Look, Cole asked
All
me,
right.
okay? I didn't know I have a lot of
So
roles
what if
to
my
give you.
personality makes
okay?
you think I'm a
Do you have another one you
authoritarian,
prefer?
an authority figure?
I was just going through the roles that you could have been, and I didn't think any of them fit.
Yeah.
So the
See,
warden
I was
was
thinking
it.
Eric might be the guy that could get you whatever you want because he knows
I'm
the
red.
mail system.
He's
You know,
red.
I've been
he
known to
knows-
locate
yeah?
things from time to.
Yeah,
I've been known.
Is that what Red says in Shawshank Redemption?
something like that.
I've been known
yeah.
to locate things from time to time. I could
Eric,
probably,
what-
I could see that.
What do you think Kevin's role would be?
Yeah, what's my
Kevin-
role, Eric? Now that you have a time
Kevin,
to
I
get me
think,
back.
would slowly descend into addiction of some sort.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Thanks.
This is crazy
guess.
team building, you guys.
It's pretty bleak in there.
That's cool. That's fine.
He just
fine.
slowly
fine.
turns to madness and drugs.
I think you would have
So
trouble
I am
coping
the
being in
drug
there,
addict.
and
Is that
I
what
think you
you're
would have
saying?
trouble coping being in there, and I don't know, maybe eventually you would turn to something.
I am the
I
drug
don't know. If I'm being brutally honest.
Hey, buddy, it's cool.
See-
That's fair. Oh, I like being honest. Honest is fine.
I was thinking Kevin would be kind of like the voice of the big guy. So he would kind of be like, the guy with the microphone to, if you ever seen the Mad Max movies, Immortal Joe, he'd be the guy introducing Immortal
okay.
Joe. But in
the mouth of the
yeah,
tyranny.
Exactly. So, all right, let's.
Didn't say anything about Kelly yet. Would she be
Yeah,
in a,
what do you
a girl
think Kelly
prison?
would be in a female prison?
Cole, you
Eric,
should
do
answer
you have-
that.
Don't say
You
the
haven't-
corpse on the floor.
I will say that Kelly would be the person that would not be a part of any gang, but all the other gangs would kind of be wary of her because I feel like she would have almost an alliance with all of them, but none of them at the same time. And then if someone shanked Kelly, it would kind of be like a World War I situation where all hell would break out. So that was kind of my thought, where somehow she has like spider webs connected to everyone.
Cole, I couldn't have put it better
it's-
myself. You've got me figured out. Now I got to rethink my prison
She
strategy.
is the matriarch of the prison.
I
No,
think
I
Kelly
like how
would turn
this
to
is going
fighting for
very
sure.
much.
I think she would. Well, you already like practiced kickboxing, so I think you would get into boxing and like getting fit and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
I got
Kelly would
longer
just be
arms
getting
than most
swole.
women, so I'm going to use them to my advantage.
You're 5'11", so you'd use your height to intimidate other people, but you wouldn't actually want to like bully people, but you would become a fighter, like a boxer
So-
fighter.
Kelly would just control the bench press in the yard.
Yeah.
I love this.
I guess now the question is, what would my role be?
Well, if these guys got it for each
I
other.
mean, you're a big guy, Cole.
Man, no one's
Hate
going to be
say
as
it, but
flattering
might
as
make
you were to,
somebody your bitch.
to me. Wait, what did Eric just say? Are you being insulting again?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
No,
think he
I
called
said
him bitch.
you're a big guy. You might make somebody your bitch.
Oh, might
Yeah.
make someone
Yeah.
else the bitch. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine
I
with
see
that.
Cole.
Yeah.
Like I
You're
said,
like,
You get lonely, and you'd probably find the smallest guy in prison and just be like, hey. I'm not
I think
calling
you're
you
like,
an essayer though. I'm just saying you would find a relationship with a smaller boy guy.
okay.
It's just getting way worse.
I wanted to say who I think Cole's going to be in prison real quick. Can we tie this up with a bow? Cole in prison? I think that you are... What's that other movie we watched with Ewan McGregor in prison? That was also A24.
Son of a gun.
Oh, yeah.
Son of a gun.
Son of a
Remember
gun with the
the guy
helicopter.
who is like the strategist and he like plays chess with people and he starts hinting like unique little tidbits to them to give them a little clue for their way to break out of prison eventually. But you're never going to get caught. They won't even know that you were part of it. But that's the way that you're going to go about it. Now I can tie a bow on that conversation.
Thank you.
I feel like I need to come up with an in-prison character for Eric, though, not like you know.
You can be insulting to me. I don't care.
What about the guy who was really sad when Billy left? Like his buddy who always countered him out. Like every time they got through the, you know, he had to count him and his buddy. Eric, I think you're the guy who takes care of him and, you know, counts in the foreign language to make sure that everyone's okay, and gets really sad when he leaves and gives him a big hug.
Or Eric's the guy that gets like shanked night one immediately.
See, I actually could agree with that. Like, I don't know how to fight. I would be at peace.
Eric would go on a
thinking
Wikipedia rant, and they would just be like, "We got to take this guy out. I can't deal with this."
This guy's talking about Wikipedia being legit.
He's telling me my middle school English teacher lied to me.
Also, I know this is probably not that relevant, but do we think Dude Bro killed himself, or do you think he was lynched by?
I think he killed himself.
Not his friends, but his.
I think he
would
killed
think that
himself
they've
too.
probably
But
been doing that to him for a while.
Like, this is not. I'm not going to deal with this every night.
I would probably do that too.
And
Okay.
and they let him go back to sleep. Like, if they were going to kill him, they probably would have just done that sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. All right. I think we've kind of. Well, we could talk about the ending of the movie. He gets out of the hospital, goes back to prison, and essentially his father shows up and I guess gets him out of prison. It's not really clear. Well, I guess he gets transferred. There's like a little text thing, and he gets transferred back to the UK prison, and then eventually gets out. Fun fact: the person that plays his father is the actual Billy Moore. So that's him in real life. And if you notice, his ear was basically half missing. And that's part of, you know, when in the scene where he gets his ear split. In reality, he just loses a chunk of his ear. But for the sake of the movie, they split it, which I thought was a pretty cool kind of interesting thing to read about, and that, you know, gave some validity to the whole story. But yeah, so it just kind of ends after the fight in the hospital run and everything like that. Before we get into our reviews, which for any new listeners, we give a review from A24 all the way down to F24 with plus and minuses thrown throughout. We have an ongoing list of all of our reviews on our socials, so if you want to catch up or see if any movie that we've reviewed in the past, we're going in chronological order. Please check it out. But does anyone have anything they want to, any like last tidbits, soapboxes, points that I haven't discussed before we dive into the reviews?
Hope is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, that ending chilled me. Before it's revealed that that's who he actually is, because it's the dad looking at the son and you see his ear. And I went, oh, he's a boxer too. And then they leave you with his face staring straight into the camera and they write his name on it. And my brain took 5 to 7 business days to connect. Oh my God, wait, that's him for real. And I love how they revealed it that way at the end. It was a really, really beautiful ending.
At first I thought that was his dad. And, you know, then it said like Billy Moore. And so I thought in my head, like, or I guess today I kind of thought about it. Was that like him maybe looking at it, like the character looking at himself in a mirror and just being like, what if I become my sweetest friend? Everyone I know goes away in the end, like I've said before. But
I mean, maybe.
He's
I
credited
think
as
on the surface
as his father.
dad.
Oh, he is.
So
okay.
like in the
All right.
credits,
I didn't see
Moore
that.
is Billy Moore's father.
I thought it was
but
like him looking at himself or something, but if it's credited as his father, that makes sense.
I like the deeper meaning. But yeah,
No, but
I don't know.
That's what I thought at first was his dad, and then like today I thought about it, like, wait, that just said Billy Moore, and then I thought like, oh wait, is this supposed to be him looking at himself and like his life as an addict in the end?
It's actual him, looking back at what he lived through.
Self-reflecting. Yeah.
Well,
Like you would with
fun
a
fact,
son.
actual Billy Moore, missed the film premiere of the movie because he was in jail for burglary.
So he's still having problems.
Yeah, so apparently I read up on it. He got clean in prison, and then obviously had relapsed, and then got clean again, and had an ongoing struggle with his addiction. He wrote the book, got clean for a long time, and then relapsed when he got diagnosed with cancer and kind of had like a meltdown, relapsed, and then ended up breaking into his neighbor's house after taking a bunch of drugs, got arrested, went back to prison because it was like a 3-strike rule for I think a little over a year, and then missed the premiere of the movie based off his book. So kind of a, an interesting life this guy, very interesting life this guy has had, but also a very sad one filled with, lots of struggles and things like that. So, and he also was a stunt double in Rambo 4 for Sylvester Stallone.
Holy shit.
So this guy's got definitely a very interesting life.
So at some point he probably moved to LA.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I guess if there's no other closing remarks, we can kind of dive into our reviews. And let's go with Kelly first. Unless someone feels real strong about going first.
No, I'll take it. I run this prison.
Hell yeah.
All right, sit down, everyone. Okay, so review of the movie. This is not a movie that I would typically ever watch. I'll say right here off the bat that I do like it a lot. I'll never watch it again. It's just not something that I would typically go to. What I really like, I think it's just a taste thing at the end of the day, because I love every choice they made for recreating this story into a movie. I think that they made a lot of really bold choices. I've already talked about just dropping us into the world at the start of the movie, feeling like I already missed half of it, like I came into the theater late or something. I like that choice because I like kind of playing catch up sometimes in a movie. And, instead of sitting back, eating my popcorn, being entertained, I'm working out something and I'm trying to make theories and figure things out as they're being revealed to me. I always like that in storytelling for a movie. So I like that they do that. I like that they don't give us a world with subtitles for us to understand. I like that we have to just kind of live it based, like Kevin was saying, it's all body language. So, and that obviously ties so well with a boxing story. I didn't know until Eric and I paused the movie more than halfway through that it was based on a true story. So I was always sitting there going, what an artistic and unique experience for them to want to tell. I wonder what the deeper meaning is. Oh, it's just a real story that happened to a real person. And I just really, really love all the choices. I have to think also that all the extras weren't even actors at the end of the day. They really felt like a bunch of men in prison. The way that they interact with each other, the way that, I don't know.
Most of them were ex-convicts in Thailand.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's just a physicality to it that I don't think people who haven't been incarcerated, move and behave because you go through a whole lot just to survive in that kind of environment, and it shows. I feel, even just the weird things, there's no, they're just wearing random clothes, random rags, leftover shorts, and these kind of choices for the wardrobe, which I'm sure is extremely accurate to life. They just really add to what Eric said with, the heat, the sweat, the grime. It's so constant. The vaulted toilets. I know that that's just a thing, but good God, I can't even imagine that would be so tough. So they really, I had said earlier too, it's exhausting, and I think it was such a tense movie just watching it, and I love how the boxing is a release. I like that we live that. I have nothing, this is what feels so messed up, I have nothing but good things to say about it, but at the end of the day, it's just not my type of movie. So I have to only rate it better than average. I'm never going to return to it, not going to recommend it to anyone. If you like a type of movie like this, I think that this is a great example. And by a type of movie like this, I mean a true life story of someone in prison that gets out of it, goes through addiction. It's a lot of specific checks, but they tell it in such a good way. I wouldn't make any changes if I were them. So feels so weird. Nothing bad to say, but just not a great movie for me at the end of the day. So it's a C+ 24.
All right, I'm jumping in next. I've said this about your reviews, Kelly, more times than I can count. I swear to God, you climb into my head, you pull out exactly what I want to say, and then you just say it. So I don't even have to say that much because viewers, you just take that and say the same thing. I did not really enjoy watching this film. Like, I really wasn't sitting there being like, oh, I am enthralled by every action piece, by every decision. I'm enthralled by the thematic. I'm enthralled by the cinema. It wasn't for me. It wasn't a film that I was drawn into. It wasn't something that I was super invested in. And all right, this sounds a little harsh, but when you have to watch a movie, because honestly, that's kind of what it comes down to. We have to watch these for the content and for what we're doing. It won't. It's different than when you're watching it for complete enjoyment and complete pleasure. And sometimes it's hard when I'm separating these A24 films on that critical side of it from a filmmaking standpoint, from all of the other things, to my enjoyment of it, my recommendation of it, and the way that I already said it, the way I enjoyed it, the way I developed. I'm not even the right word. How do you say another word for that? The way you take it in. Consume it. Thank you. The way I consumed the media. Totally different. And for this being an A24 film, that makes sense, right? It's a unique art piece that it's not something you see every day. It's a boxing film with real boxing that doesn't have any subtitles when it's a foreign language film. It does all these different things that kind of is convoluted and makes it unique and different. But like Kelly said, I'm never going to return to this film. I'm never going to be like, oh man, remember that one time I watched that one boxing movie? No, I'm not. I could barely remember the title of it, to be honest with you. And it's not for any other reason than it was just not my cup of tea. Does Joe Cole do a great job of literally being the entirety of this film? Yes, he does. And they do a great job of making this unique and different and pretty and well put together and compelling, but I just don't care that much at the end of the day. And I was kind of just like, I wish I understood what the Thai people were saying. I wish that I had more closure to whether he survived or didn't. I don't know. There was just some elements that I kind of wish were buttoned up. I said a lot of wordsmithing, but it's a C for me. C24, well enough, but not good enough for me to care that much or give it any higher. So C24.
All right. I'll go next. We'll leave Eric for last. So I kind of reiterate some of the same sentiments. I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. It's not a movie I would probably watch without doing this podcast. I am a big boxing movie fan. I try and watch a lot of them, from obviously all the Rocky movies, Warrior, Southpaw, Creed, all those kind of things. I enjoy those. I think they're always a fun watch. This one is not a fun watch. It's a very intense. I mean, you deal with a lot of very dark things, from murder to rape scenes to, Eric talked about the guy threatening to inject you with AIDS. There's a lot of pretty gnarly things that happen in this movie. It's kind of an exhausting watch, but it tells a very crazy story that happened, a real life story that happened. And I think that's what gives this a lot more than if it wasn't a real story, or if it wasn't a true story. And if this was just a movie, again, I halfway through, I didn't realize this was a true story until about halfway through. I paused it and I looked it up, because I was just like, I wonder if this is a real story, because it what is it trying to tell if it's not, right? So I thought it was for the most part pretty good. There's nothing unique or interesting about the cinematography. The fight scenes I thought were impactful, but I did get almost like a little motion sick sometimes. Felt like almost like a Blair Witch handy cam situation. So I wish they had maybe a little bit better stabilization during those fight scenes. And I don't know, the ending also kind of felt a little flat. I liked the transition where they actually have Billy Moore, and I thought that was really cool. But I don't like when they just kind of fade to black and they're like, he went to the UK and then got out and that's it. I wanted to know more about, I guess, what the rest of his life was. And looking up more about his life, he has had a very interesting up and down life with the book and the success, and then, kind of the relapse and things like that. I don't know if I would recommend this to anyone that I know of, unless they want to see like some crazy stuff, but I had this
Some crazy
stuff, man. I had this as a C24. I think it's right in the middle. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just it's I think middle of the pack. So we'll go to you, Eric.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I reiterate everything that everybody else said. This film wasn't exactly for me. It definitely, I give it points because it put me in a new place and time that I never thought I would visit. And I never thought about what it would be like in a Thai prison or to be a British person in a Thai prison. And then when I figured out that it was a true story, that really did hit home, like not hit home, but it hit me harder than it would have without it being a true story, obviously. So the fact, like, this all actually happened, and then I give points to the cinematography for, like, really making me feel something. And I think this was actually a generally well-done film. Like, Joe Cole did a good job. The writing, maybe, like, it could have been a little bit more creative, but at the same time, like, I don't know how else you could have added to it. You can't just add things that weren't there. You can't have some poetic Thai prison leader or something that makes it more interesting or something. So, yeah, like, overall, like, I think this was actually a well-done film, so I will put it above, like, the C category, and I'll put it in the B category, but I'll probably put it at a B- because I agree, like, it just wasn't really for me. Probably not a film I'll ever visit again, but I do give it points for being just, like, a well-done film.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for us. Again, we're reviewing every single A24 film in the catalog in chronological order. Eric, what's our next film up on? Do you have that?
The next film we will be reviewing for an A24 vibe discussion, not an A24 film, is Children of Men, and the next A24 film we'll be reviewing is Slice.
All right. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Give us a review, a rating. Let us know your thoughts and feelings about things that you like, things that you might not like, and how we can improve and be better people for it. I appreciate everyone's time. And thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.